Hello tenor players, welcome to our first lesson. So today we're going to really break down the basics of measures 1 through 33 of our new piece Air and Dance and work on some usable practice techniques that you can use every week. Now you might have seen a couple of the other instrumental videos. We're going to be doing very similar things to them. So first off, we need to tune, make sure we are there, pull out a tuner. You can download your own on the App Store, or just pull up and make sure you are working with the video to make sure you're in tune with me. That's your high C. And your low C. Hold on. Right, a little bit of an overtone there. Ah, that's why. I was accidentally pressing the back key. So, back over. We are now in tune. We're going to put on a metronome at 80 beats per minute. Alright? We're going to play our C scale all the way up to our high C, just on the first octave. And then I'm going to keep going all the way up to the high C an octave higher. So this is going to be a 2-octave scale. For this week, I just want you to work on the 1 octave and come back down. But watch me do it. It's going to be 8 beats on each note, 8 beats off each note. Ready? Starting on your low C, which remember the fingering for is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Pinky on the lowest key is your low C. 1, 2, where are you? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure each note is consistent, long. Stays at the same level. We're still going up to our G. Make sure you're not getting louder or quieter and it's not popping. To A. Almost on the first octave to B. And then finally C, which is just your left middle finger. Now I'm going to go to the second octave, thumb key down, 3 and 3 is D. E is just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 with the thumb. To F. To G. Two notes away. To A. Okay, B. Almost there. And then the last note, thumb and middle finger in your left hand, high C. So there's 2 full octaves. Now, for this week, I only want you to worry about the first octave, which is that low C. So that high C. Now the second octave, we can worry about in future weeks. But this week, I want you to practice that first octave going all the way from that low C to the higher C and back down. Just one octave. Do that twice at the beginning of every practice. Gets your lips warm, it gets your air into your instrument, and make sure that you're working on your tone and your duration, because even if you can hit the note, it doesn't mean that the note is a good quality note. Making a note last for a full 8 beats guarantees that you have the ability to play it for a shorter amount of time with just as high quality. Now, another thing I'll point out is when you count 8 beats, you should be counting 8 full beats, not counting to the 8th beat. So it shouldn't be do, cutting off on the 8th beat is not playing 8 beats, right? You should be going to the 9th beat, which is the end of the 8th beat. As confusing as that sounds, here it is. Do. See how I end right as that 9th beat hits? It would be like opening a door and having you walk to stand in the middle of the door. You have not walked through the door, you have walked to the door. I want you to walk through that 8th beat, not to that 8th beat, right? So, we know the beginning of this piece that we're about to play, because you've heard it at this point, is around 80 beats per minute. But since this is our first week working on it, we're going to take it at 60, right? We know our first note is a high D. So make sure you have that note. Let's look at our future notes. We know there is a B, but it's not a B, right? Right there in measure 5, that and all other B's in this piece are B flats. So we need to talk about fingering for a B flat, because your normal B is here. But it can't be there anymore. So your fingering for a B flat is going to be 1, 2, and then this side key all the way down on the bottom of your sax, this key right here. Those 3 keys, when put together, give you that B flat. If you play your A, so 1 and 2, and add the side key, it'll give you that B flat, right? So you have that. So you know the first notes that you're going to be using are D. High D, make sure you use your thumb. C, which is just your middle finger in your left hand. And B flat, which is 1, 2, and the side key. Right? So, looking at the first area, those are pretty much all the notes we use until measure 19. So let's just play measures 1 through 19 right now, making sure we're on time with the metronome. Rhythm is going to be the most important thing you do during this piece. Let me turn up the metronome volume. Oh, it's all the way up. There we go. Keeping to exactly 4 beats and trying to remember only to breathe when the piece tells us we can breathe. Notice that there are breath marks during the piece. Why won't it let me mark it up? There we go. There's a breath mark there. It tells you can breathe. There's a breath mark here. There's a breath mark right before 11. There's a breath mark at the end of 14, at the end of 18. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 breaths. Those are the breaths you're allowed to take. The one place you can super not breathe at any time is in between the notes here, right? Those are where the notes are slurred together. So you need to make them sound as connected as possible. That B flat to C. Right? That B flat. So that C needs to be smooth. So when you remove your first finger on your left hand and your side key, they have to be at exactly the same time, or else it sounds like it needs to be at the exact same time. So let's start at measure 1, all the way from the beginning. Now, make sure your neck strap is tightened up to the right amount. Not too much. Starting at measure 1, 1, 2, ready. There's the first 19 measures, or first 18 measures. Now, notice the tone of a tenor sax. Breaking into that upper octave, you need to put more air into the high note. So when you have D in that upper octave, to make it sound as even as the lower notes, you need to make sure you're pushing a little bit harder on the high D, and the low C and B flat, you're letting out a little bit. So see how this D is a lot airier than that low B flat. This note out of nowhere, when you go, sounds a little honky, right? It's like, ooh, that's a loud, annoying note. Can't have that. So it needs to be. And that transition, making sure all those notes are tonally similar, is going to be one of the hardest parts about this piece for you. Now, at 19, notes start to be more active. So we know it goes from a D to a C, all the way up to an F, and then back down. So let's make sure we have all those notes. Give me a D. Give me a C. Give me a D. F. E. And D. Most of those notes are in the upper octave. They're with the thumb key, but that C isn't. So like we just talked about, that C is going to come out louder unless you make sure that you pull back your air on it, right? So starting at 19, I'm going to play with the metronome once so we can hear it at 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 19. That is 19 to the end of 26. That is your melody. Make sure it is all connected. These phrase markings, turn off that metronome. These phrase markings tell you, you cannot breathe during this period right here. You can kind of, if you need to, take a little catch breath there. But it is ideal if you do not. Oh, where's my eraser? There's my eraser. It's ideal if you don't. Try to obey only breathing where there are breath marks still. Right? They're there for a reason. So between the two phrases, between 20 and 21, you can take a breath if it's an absolute emergency, but you do need to tongue. The rest, try to tongue as little as possible. We don't want it to sound like Right? You want to just sound as smooth as possible. And that's going to take a lot of work. But try it at a slow tempo so that when you speed up, it's going to be easier. So I will start now at 27 and just play the last, 6 measures before 33. These are the easiest part, right? Starting in D, going to E, going to F, dropping to that low B flat. That's going to be the hardest part of this, not making that B flat super loud, and then back up to a C. So, metronome on. Starting at 27. 1, 2, ready. There it is. That little symbol above the note right there is a fermata. That means you're going to hold it out as long as the conductor, me, asks you to. But for the purpose of the recording, you'll be practicing with the recording eventually, and that will tell you how long-ish it's going to be when we do it as a full group. So, that is measures 1 to 33. I will play it once with the recording right now. The recording is about 80 beats per minute. So it is faster than we just did it, but not too much faster, right? Now we start right at the beginning along with the recording. So I'm gonna actually hop in at measure 3, just so I have a time to get myself situated, and play until 33. Ready? Coming in at measure 3. There's the first 33 measures. So, I ran out of air right around 29 and 30. That's something I'm going to continue to work on. And going down to that low B flat from that high D for me is hard because, 1, I'm not a sax player, and 2, it's a hard transition to move between that soft D to that hard B flat. So I know that's going to be a little more difficult to do. So really focus on that. This section is not hard fingering wise. It's very hard embouchure wise for you to make sure that you are accurately not only hitting the right notes, but that they are all at the same level, which is why that warm up we did at the beginning of the lesson is super important. Those long tones are going to be your best friend. So that is your homework this week. Measures 1 through 33. And I would also like you to record your 8-beat scale starting on your low C and going up to that middle C and back down with a metronome at 80. Recording measures 1 through 33. I would like that at 60 beats per minute with a metronome. You may practice with the recording if you're feeling comfortable enough. Feel free to practice with me on this video playing it and record with that. Make sure that you are respecting the rhythm. Number one, it has to be the right rhythm, the right tempo. You have to be locked into that groove. And number two, that you try to keep an even tone and volume during the whole thing, right? Not too much dynamic change here. Make it smooth, make it rhythmically accurate, make it sound good. So you know how to reach me. Email me if you have any questions. If not, I will see you during our next Zoom class.